All right, welcome back. My name is Bardic, bringing you another Ashes of Creation video. You do enjoy the content and you want to see more of it, please do drop a like and subscribe. I also stream Ashes of Creation content on Twitch if you want to swing by. A quick message about these videos: I will be voicing my opinions and I encourage you to voice yours as well. When doing so, however, try to understand different points of view and have constructive discussions. Not everyone follows the project super closely, so the point of these videos is to inform and help people understand what Ashes of Creation will be and why so many people back the project. I do try to get all of my information correct, but nobody is perfect, so if I do get something wrong, please let me know and I'll try to get it fixed as quickly as possible. I don't want to spread any misinformation. Now, Ashes is going to need a healthy population of all types of players, so fostering a positive and accepting community is the best way to help this game grow and be successful. I just want to take a second to thank all of you once again for your support. The channel has done even better than I expected, and that's thanks to all of you. With that said, let's get into the video. Today's topic is politics. In today's day and age, most MMOs have fallen into two categories, either a theme park or a sandbox. Now, success is very subjective, but if you look purely at the numbers and money made, the most successful MMOs have all fallen under the theme park category. Intrepid is trying to meet somewhere in the middle with Ashes of Creation, pointing at a theme box MMO. However, I think it leans more towards the sandbox side of things. For those who have never played a true sandbox game, there are no factions that determine who or what you fight for. Some sandbox MMOs have literally no NPCs other than monsters. It is completely up to the players to go out into the world, build, craft, and explore what they want to. The content actually comes from the idea of implementing soft and hard friction. This can be anything from making certain resources scarce to rewarding players for fighting each other. Anything that encourages conflict. With this system, the content is driven by the players themselves. Players are driven to create their own factions based on many different factors. Some are formed out of necessity, for example to fight off a larger faction. Others are formed out of convenience. For example, they play in a close proximity to each other and don't want to be constantly fighting. These factors on how to deal with other players and groups is the basis of this video. So to be honest, politics isn't really the right word for it. It's more like inter-guild relations, but since that isn't even a word, we're just gonna stick with
politics. Well, we're gonna come down there and take all your oil, but this is our oil. Yee-haw! Well, here's my missile. Okay, take it. Politics.
We've already done a video that focuses on how inter-guild relations will work within a single node. If you haven't already seen that, there is a link at the top of the video. Today's discussion is going to be talking about similar things, but from a much more macro point of view. Intrepid is designing Ashes of Creation to be an absolutely massive world with this interconnected web of systems that forces you to interact with others. Now, those who have seen much of my other content have heard me say this multiple times, but reputation from an individual level all the way to the largest guild is going to be incredibly important in this game. There are not going to be server transfers, name changes, or any way to escape the reputation that you make for yourself without completely restarting. Yes, I know people will make alts in order to harass and commit crimes, but we will get to that in a little bit. Guilds especially are going to need to be careful how they interact with others. One member acting like an asshat could spark an entire war. On a lesser scale though, each member of a guild is a representative. And the more members you have, the more likely it is that someone in your guild will rub someone the wrong way. That is why most large guilds, especially those coming from other games, seem to have a bad reputation. Now, just so people are clear, I'm not saying that reputation is not always deserved, just take anything you hear with a grain of salt. Now, conflict is inevitable in this game. Steven has said that they will be implementing many forms of soft and hard friction that will force you to have to fight over things. One of the design pillars for this game is risk versus reward. And in my opinion, this goes along with the philosophy that not everyone can accomplish everything, which is evident from these things like 1 per server legendaries and how castles and flying mounts are implemented. You will be rewarded for your time, but everyone is rewarded differently based on how they spend their time. So let's say you and your guild have decided what they want to accomplish in the game. Assuming it is something many people want as well, you are probably going to have to fight someone at some point. So the question becomes, what is the best way to accomplish your goal? Well, it's going to come down to a risk-reward analysis, which is something that can't be done without proper information. There's a reason many countries have huge budgets for intelligence agencies. Making uninformed decisions can have absolutely drastic consequences. If you are going to fight someone, make sure you know the consequences and make sure it is worth the risk. For example, maybe a small guild is farming an area for a rare resource that you need. Your group comes in and takes over the area. Maybe you talk to them and they refuse to share. Maybe you just did it with an outright show of force. But what you didn't know is that guild is a subsidy of the most powerful guild on the server. Suddenly, you're at war and wishing you had realized who the other group was. This is where more inter-guild relations comes in. Any major guild is going to need people dedicated to diplomacy and information gathering. There are many ways to gather information, from spying to bribes to just paying attention and recording things you hear. Earlier in the video, we talked about how people will make alts in order to conduct black ops and guerrilla warfare. This will definitely happen, but there's a problem with that system. It will be hard to be too effective with only a small force of specialists. However, the larger you make your force, the more likely it is to be weak to who they are affiliated with. Another part of diplomacy is sharing information as well. The names of alts who commit devious acts will be shared across alliances and discords. Keep in mind that you will have to return to a node and interact with other players to get your gear repaired. If your name has been spread around, you are on the kill on sight list and an enemy of the state in most nodes, it's gonna limit where you can go. From there, your affiliations may be narrowed down and exposed. Now, I'm not saying that this isn't gonna happen. Gamers will always find a way. Just realize that the consequences of being exposed could be disastrous. And also, doing so unsanctioned by your guild could easily lead to a G-kick and your Discord and account name being flagged on a list somewhere. If gamers are good at anything, it's finding a way to punish those that cross them. Starting over in this game is not going to be easy. At 6 hours a day, it's supposed to take an average of 45 days to achieve max level. That alone is going to be a deterrent to people being toxic. In real life, most people don't go around treating others disrespectfully because of the consequences. In my opinion, that is going to be the case in Ashes as well. So what does this mean for you? Well, first off, it should be a good sign for people who want to play solo or with a small guild. Large guilds who treat small guys poorly may find themselves facing an entire server of pissed off people. I know a single individual doesn't pull much weight, but peasant rebellions are a thing for a reason. The other important thing to note is that server health is really important. If a guild is large enough to completely dominate a server, people will get bored and move on. If you want to play this game on the same server for years to come, you're going to want a healthy mix of different sized guilds. Enough different factions to allow for fair competition and allow affiliations and alliances to shift as the world changes around you. Also, if you are going to join a guild, make sure your guild fully understands what is happening in this game. The guild tech goes both ways. You can make a bad name for your guild just as easily as your guild can make a bad name for you. I wouldn't expect guilds to give details to trials on how they plan to handle information gathering, but they should at least have policies in place for how to handle diplomacy. When a sandbox game talks about player-driven content, this, in my opinion, is what they are talking about. It is the thing that draws me to a game like Ashes of Creation. Yes, PvP is player-driven, but there's so much more behind the actual fight itself. Not to mention all the potential espionage, which may become its own video later. This is my opinion on how I think interguild politics will work, but what do you guys think? Do you see any loopholes? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in. See you on the next one.